Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Sanctuary. My name is Christian and I hope that you will join me in taking refuge in records. So I'm here today with the fourth and final part of my series, which has been exploring all of the best ofs, greatest hits, singles collections and B-sides and rarities albums that I currently own in my vinyl collection. So if you haven't managed to watch parts 1, 2 or 3 yet, or you'd like to have a refresher of those and watch them already, I will pop links to all of those videos in the description box to this one here. And I just again want to say thank you to everybody who has tuned in and taken the time to comment and stick with me during this particular series. I've really enjoyed doing it. It's been a lot of fun, and I feel like it's a bit of an end of an era now for me with my first sort of big series that I've done on the channel. But yeah, we'll crack on with it. So same as before, I've got another batch to go through, and I will rank the top 5 favourites in this particular batch, and then that will bring the series to a close. I will say that I do hope that you're all sitting comfortably, because this is actually the biggest batch of the lot that I've had so far. But I will try to move through them as quickly as I can. You know, I don't want it to be a 3 or 4 hour epic or anything like that. So it'll just be the usual principle. I'll hold the album up, show you the artwork, mention a few of my favourite tracks, anything that I think is, you know, informative or anecdotal that pops into my head while I'm showing you, then I will. But other than that, I'll just keep motoring through, and please do let me know when you've had a chance to watch the video and gather your thoughts, etc. Leave your comments and let me know if you've enjoyed it and what your favourite best ofs and greatest hits are as well. So without any further ado, quick sip of water to get me ready to go, and then we'll get into it. Hey, more ready to go now. So starting us off, we're in Scotland to begin with, and we've got the Associates. So we've got Billy Mackenzie here, singer, Alan Rankin, multi-instrumentalist over there. And this is a collection of early recordings, and it's called Fourth Drawdown. So this is when the duo was on a label called Situation 2. So this was before they got signed to a major. Then if we turn it around here, we've got Billy and Alan in that water again. I don't know about you, but I get the feeling that that water is absolutely freezing. I just have a real impression there that that water is not particularly inviting. So I might be wrong about that, but yeah, they do look very, very cold. So let's get the record out so we can look at the track listing, and I can refresh myself of that, because the tracks are not listed on the back of the cover. Okay, so yeah, I love the opening track, White Car in Germany, and then the second track, A Girl Named Property. There's a brilliant guitar line on the song Kitchen Person. It's just this really tasty post-punk guitar line by Alan Rankin that sort of is a bit angular and goes a bit all over the place on the fretboard, which I do really, really love. And then on side 2, there is one of my favourite Associates tracks probably ever, which is Tell Me Easter's on Friday. And what I particularly love about that track is whenever I hear it, it almost sounds like something that came out in the early noughties, you know, maybe the type of thing that Modest Mouse or a group like that would have done. So whenever I hear that, it always kind of makes me think that perhaps the Associates were a little bit ahead of the time. They were always really experimental, and they always had really interesting things to do and say. But I think as the music has gotten older and these bands have all come in the kind of the wake of the 80s post-punk scene, clearly all influenced by acts like the Associates, then I just think that when you hear tunes like this from back in the day, that they just become all the more apparent and all the more important. So yeah, a really good collection, that one. I thoroughly enjoy it. So I'll just pop it away just to keep everything in sequence, and then we'll move on to the next one. So a good collection, that one there. Just show it you one more time there before we move on. So Associates Fourth Drawdown. Okay, so now we've got an unofficial release here from a very famous group, one that I like a great deal, as my t-shirt will attest to as well, and that's The Cure. So we've got here rare 70s recordings from The Cure, and on the front cover there we've got Michael Dempsey, who played bass at the time there. Got Robert Smith in the middle, and then we've got Lowell Tolhurst, who was drumming at this point before he moved on to keyboards, that sort of thing. So yeah, this is you know, a collection of rarities, studio recordings from really, really early on. We've got tracks on here that date back to when the band were known as the Easy Cure. So See the Children, Meat Hook, Pillbox Tales, I Just Need Myself, and I Want to Be Old. I've read all of those out just in case people weren't aware of the types of tracks that the Cure were doing when they were called the Easy Cure. And then more famous ones on here, we've got versions of very early versions, I should add, of Boys Don't Cry, Pillbox Tales, Accuracy, Grinding Halt. So a lot of stuff that ended up being recorded on Three Imaginary Boys, which was their debut album. Got a song on there called Desperate Journalist as well. I always love the title of that one. And then a couple of my favourite Cure songs ever. We've got Jump in Someone Else's Train, and we've got an original version of The Forest, which dates back to 1979, and it's credited here as being called Into the Trees. So I'll turn it over and you can see the cover art there. So we've got Paul Thompson here, now Pearl Thompson, credited there obviously Paul Thompson, and this was when Pearl had been in the band originally and then left and then came back a bit later on during the 1980s. And then, yeah, photograph of Michael Dempsey up at the top, and then we've got the band over here. And as you can see, this finger pointing here right now, there's Robert Smith. And I know it's been well documented a lot on the internet now, but he does look a lot there like Ben Affleck, or rather I should say Ben Affleck looks a lot like Robert Smith, because I do think Robert Smith is a bit older than Ben Affleck. And it is always just really interesting seeing photographs of Robert Smith when he was young, prior to having the iconic hairdo and the lipstick and the makeup, you know, just to see him there like that, fresh-faced and short-haired. It does always take me aback, because, you know, he's just got such an iconic look, so, and has maintained it for so many years. But yeah, this is an early collection here of rare 70s recordings of The Cure. Okay, so now we've got a band here that I actually featured in a previous part, but this is a collection, so it qualifies for inclusion. And this is A Spy in the House of Love by The House of Love. And I picked this copy up in Spain for €9. And the sticker there up at the top unfortunately would not come off. And I've not tried to remove it, as we know, mentioned it a few times on videos now. It can happen, and I just don't want to take the risk of ripping it up too much. But yeah, this is a collection of B-sides. I think these date back to round about the second album that was titled The House of Love, which has got the butterfly on it. And songs from memory in particular I do enjoy. I do like Cut the Fool Down, Scratched Inside is good. We've then got a number of different songs on here that are called Love. So we've got Love 2, Love 3, Love 4, Love 5. Soft as Fire, I recall that one, and Marvel, which is on track 1 as well. So that's The House of Love. So again, if you're not familiar with them, 80s sort of jangly indie. Guy Chadwick on vocals and Terry Bickers doing some great guitar work throughout. And yeah, you can learn a bit more about The House of Love in a previous part of this series as well. So that's A Spy in the House of Love by The House of Love. Okay. Okay, so now we're going over to Scotland, to Bathgate near Edinburgh. And this is a group called Goodbye Mr. Mackenzie. And this collection is called Fish Heads and Tails. These are a sort of indie alternative rock group. And over here where I'm pointing there, we can see a very young Shirley Manson, who was in the group prior to forming Garbage. Had a very commercially successful career with Garbage. And then over on this side here, got Big John Duncan, who played in The Exploited, and I believe he was in a group as well called Blood Uncles, or he was involved in a group called Blood Uncles as well. So yeah, really good tuneful rock here from Scotland. We've got a version of Amsterdam on here that was made famous by Scott Walker. There's a version of Mystery Train on here, Knocking on Joe live, which is a Nick Cave track, is on here as well. So there's a few different bits and pieces on here, and it's an interesting collection, this one. Just going to check. Yeah, Sick of You's on there as well, which is an Iggy Pop, James Williamson song. There's the the label there of the record. So there's a few covers and things on there, and it is a good listen. If I was to recommend a track to start you with, Goodbye Mr. Mackenzie, just in case you are wondering about them a little bit after that brief description, then I would check out a song called The Rattler, which is a superb song. Very, very, very good indeed. But this is a nice collection for me to have. And I've got a couple of studio albums in the collection by Goodbye Mr. Mackenzie as well. So fish heads and tails. Okay, now we've got some classic British rock here in the shape of Steve Harley and Courtney Rebel. This is a great collection. Very sadly, we lost Steve Harley in March this year, but brilliant songwriter. I love that front cover. I think it's just so striking. I know we use the word striking a lot to describe front covers, but I do think this is a striking cover. Just the way that they present themselves. There's a very sort of arty kind of, almost like a bit of a Roxy Music type feel to that presentation, I feel, with the band. Very sort of glam looking in appearance. But yeah, just consummate songwriting courtesy of Steve Harley, and I've always loved his voice. Sort of that sing-speak voice that he does so well. Very, very cool. Almost a bit Dylan-esque in places as well, with the way that he sort of stretches out various words and can sometimes have that slightly nasal thing that Dylan had going on, but really tuneful, great stuff. So favourite tracks on here, obviously Making Me Smile, which is just a classic of rock. I don't know how anyone couldn't like that song with that beautiful solo in it as well. Psychomodo, I enjoy a great deal, and that's a very, very good album. Mr. Soft, which is superb. Which for people here watching from the UK may also remember that song being used in a Soft Mints commercial many years ago, with a character, character bounding around, and he bumps into a letterbox which is chewing mints or something or other. Very sort of vivid childhood memory, that. But Mr. Soft is a great song as well. And then on side two, we've got an absolute belter of a song called Sebastian. Beautiful tune, that one. I've always thoroughly enjoyed it. Got a nice version here of Here Comes the Sun as well, George Harrison penned Beatles song, obviously. And what else do I like on here as well? Yeah, Riding the Waves for Virginia Woolf. So I'd say that they're my favourites on there. But a very good collection. Does what it should do in terms of being a very, very good introduction to Steve Harley and Courtney Rebel. And as I've mentioned on previous parts, that is what a good best of should do. It should always give you a very good overview of the group, of the artist, of what their intentions are, what they're about, what their artistic visions and statements are, and give you that little taste of that sampler just to whet the appetite, so that you can then make the decision as to whether or not you want to take the plunge. So there's that one. Okay, this is my second and final unofficial release that I'm showing today, and again, it is a collection, so it does qualify, and I just wanted to show it. So we've got here My Bloody Valentine with Before Loveless. It's a collection here. So on this one, we have side A and B comprising the Ecstasy and Wine LP. Which was obviously, that was an LP that combined a couple of previous LPs, and then side 3 here we've got the Feed Me With Your Kiss EP, and then on side 4 we've got the You Made Me Realise EP. So that is that's the collection. So favourite songs, I mean, the entire side 4, You Made Me Realise, is one of my favourite EPs ever, probably up there with Chronic Town by REM. I don't own Chronic Town on vinyl, and I don't own You Made Me Realise in its proper singular state. But You Made Me Realise, Slow Thorn, Cigarette in Your Bed, and Drive It All Over Me are just essential My Bloody Valentine tracks. I will never tire of listening to them. They are just guitar, indie, alt perfection. Brilliant songs. Love all of them. Elsewhere on the collection, Feed Me With Your Kiss I enjoy a lot. And then from that earlier kind of side A-B with the Ecstasy and Wine tracks, I love Strawberry Wine, Never Say Goodbye. Please Lose Yourself in Me is good as well. So yeah, there is it's a good overview there of My Bloody Valentine's sort of pre-Loveless, slightly more kind of maybe twee pop, indie pop, if you could call it that, but there's a real fuzz and a fizz to the guitars as well. Kevin Shields and Belinda Butcher's vocals, very ethereal at times, but yeah, not quite a sort of full-on shoegaze or full-on experimental as Loveless, the album, but very tuneful and a really good listen. So that's Before Loveless. There's the back. So we've got a really good photograph of the band there. And yeah, I don't think I showed the back of the Courtney Rebel. I do that sometimes. I apologise for that. That's just the back there. Maybe I did, but I'm just making sure that, just double checking that I did. So that's that one. So yeah, I often show the back when there is like a photograph or something on there. Usually it's just track listings or an essay or something about the group. So yeah, I am trying to remember to do it. Okay, so that's My Bloody Valentine. Next up, we're going over to, I think these were formed in Leeds actually, and this is The Wedding Present. Back in the 1980s they were formed, and this collection's called Tommy. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it explains in here from memory, because I played it fairly recently. Um, yes, it does. So there's the inside with the band. And just there is David Gedge, who's the leader, primary songwriter of The Wedding Present, or otherwise known as The Weddos, quite affectionately. So it says, yeah, this LP compiles a selection of recordings from The Wedding Present's first 2 years. John Peel, Andy Kershaw, Peter, Tony and Jerry at Red Rhino bring as much to blame as the band for its existence. And then it just goes on, many thanks to them and everyone else who helped in those hard times. So yeah, it's collecting some really early Wedding Present stuff. So this is stuff that, kind of predates or kind of runs alongside George Best, which was the debut album. So I'll just have a look and see what tracks on here I like, because I did play it quite recently actually. There's a really great cover of Felicity on it by Orange Juice. I really enjoy that. They've always done great covers, The Wedding Present, throughout the career. What Becomes the Broken Heart is on here as well. But other ones I love, My Favourite Dress, which closes the album off. It opens up with Go Out and Get 'em Boy, and I also really like on side one Living and Learning. So yeah, that's if you're not aware of The Wedding Present, so that is, again, it's very tuneful indie guitar rock. I think people now are probably beginning to realise or understand or see that is a lot of that music is my go-to. I tend to have a lot of indie alt 80s guitar music in my collection, both from the US and from the UK. In the case of The Wedding Present, David Gedge has got really distinctive vocals. He sort of has this kind of growly, singy, speaky approach. So he sort of strings a bit like that, which is not a good impression at all. But he kind of has a really distinctive style. People will either go for it or they won't. And they also play their guitars incredibly fast. I've always wondered whether David Gedge must use the thinnest plectrums that are known to man, because the speed in which those rhythm guitars get played and how strings don't get broken, maybe they do get broken regularly, but the speed in which they play those guitars is pretty phenomenal. So I'm guessing that maybe they're using super fine thin plectrums, that they're not breaking those strings every couple of minutes. So yeah, really enjoyable band. I've always been into The Wedding Present, so happy to have that one in the collection. That was Tommy. Okay, so now we're going back to, again, so this was a band that I did show in a previous part, but this is where two members of that band went on to form another group. And I believe that this one does qualify as a compilation, but I think it might have been a German only pressing or an import. So this here is The Weather Prophets, and the album is called Diesel River. So the band that I'm referring to that I'd covered last time was The Loft. So if you have a look on the back here, so Peter Astor there, guitar and voice, and then Dave Morgan on drums were both originally in The Loft. And then The Loft split, and then they went on to form The Weather Prophets. So very tuneful indie rock, again, really good stuff, very enjoyable. I've always been a fan of Pete Astor's singing and songwriting, great lyrics, easy, good songs to sing along to, both The Loft and The Weather Prophets. So favourites on here, I've always enjoyed Almost Prayed, which kicks the album off. Like Frankie Lyman is really lovely on side two. And then we've got Your Heartbeat Breathes the Life Into Me. I like that one a lot. And Wide Open Arms is good. And then we've got here as well a track called Downbound Train, which was by Chuck Berry, and one called Stones in My Pathway, which was by Robert Johnson. So an interesting mixture of songwriters there, along with what Pete Astor did. So that's the Weather Prophets. Excuse me. Okay, so now we're going over to some classic 60s blues rock from the UK again. So this is the Yardbirds with Remember the Yardbirds. We can see there those band members listed there. I mean, look at that. Some guitar royalty there with Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton. Got Jim McCarthy, Chris Dreyer, Keith Relf, and Paul Samuel Smith. So yeah, I mean, the Yardbirds also had Jimmy Page amongst the ranks as well, but fine band. I do enjoy listening to this. Probably don't listen to it as much as I did, but as it says there on the front, a selection of their greatest tracks. So I'm happy to have it because it is one I can go back to if I'm ever in the mood to listen to some, classic 60s guitar rock. And yeah, favourites on here. Yeah, Heartful of Soul, which is a Graham Goldman track. So Graham Goldman wrote that, obviously went on to have an amazing career. Wrote for lots of other people as well, including Herman's Hermits, but very famously, an integral member of 10cc, who were an amazing band. But what else do I like on here? Shapes of Things on side 2. Evil Hearted You. Yeah, there's quite a few Graham Goldman songs on here. Smokestack Lightning as well is on here as well. Shapes of Things. And I Ain't Done Wrong. Yeah, so it's a good collection. I'd say that it's a fair introduction perhaps into what the Yardbirds were about. I mean, there might be other collections as well, or other albums where you can get a little bit more of a flavour of what they did, especially because they had so many members. Certainly in the guitar playing states with Clapton and Beck and Page, and went on to have such supersonic careers that they did. But I do think this is a good listen, this one. So if you are looking to start your Yardbirds journey off, and this tends to be an album that you can find pretty cheaply as well if you go exploring. I think I only picked this up for £1 or £2 when I found it, so it is one that you can often come across in record shops and at fairs and that type of thing. So there's Remember the Yardbirds. Okay. Excuse me, I'm having to sip quite a lot of water today because it's quite warm where I'm recording today, and I do think it's having a little bit of an effect on the voice. So please do bear with me with that. Okay, so now we're going over to Swindon. Swindon's finest ever band. Got XTC here. I absolutely love XTC. This is Beeswax, and as it says there on the front cover, XTC, some B-sides dated from 1977 to 1982. So this kind of takes us from the debut album, maybe slightly before. So that's White Music, and that takes us up to 82, which is that was the year when English Settlement came out. And I talk a bit more about English Settlement in my 1982 ranking video. So if you haven't seen that and you'd be interested in having a look, I'd appreciate it. Again, always does help the channel out. But yeah, XTC are just a wonderful band. I will say right off the bat that I don't have Waxworks, which is the A-sides companion to this particular album. And the completist in me definitely does want to get Waxworks at some point because I don't own it. And there is, I believe, Science Friction is on that. Well, it would be because it'll be on there. And I don't have that in any vinyl form at the moment. Science Friction, it's not on any of the vinyl that I have. So it's great though to have this one, the B-sides, because it is Andy Partridge and Colin Moulding, great songwriters. So it is great to have this one here as a starting point. So ones that I do recall liking on here, yes, She's So Square, that lives in the memory. Don't Lose Your Temper. Heaven Is Paved with Broken Glass is on there as well. Yeah, it's one of these where you've got to flip it round to read it. Heat Wave as well. So yeah, Punch and Judy. Yeah, so Not played that one for a bit actually, because I'm one of these who if I don't feel like the full thing's complete, sometimes they tend to kind of not get overlooked, but maybe I'll just pick things above it. But yeah, at some point when I get Waxworks, what I plan to do is listen to that all the way through and then listen to this one straight after it. And then I almost feel like I've got the two halves then becoming the whole again. But yeah, I love the fact that it's called Beeswax, you know, just a nice little play on words with B-sides. So that's that one. Okay, so this is a bit of a bit of a monolithic collection. This one actually. So this is band from Hoboken, New Jersey. A couple, Ira Kaplan and Georgia Hubley, founding members of this group, and they are Yola Tango. And this collection here is called Genius Plus Love equals Yola Tango. And I really love this collection. I actually think in some cases it's as good as some of their albums that I've heard, some of their studio albums. I really do think this is a superb collection. It's a double album, this one. So as is the case with our yeah, when the when the gatefolds, I do show the middle off, but this isn't a gatefold. Got caught out again there. You'd think I'd be more aware of these pesky gatefolds in my own collection, wouldn't you? But yeah, it caught me out. And there's the back. Done that a couple of times now, where I've assumed it's a double album. I've thought it was a gatefold, and then no. And there's a couple as well where I have put notes to viewers in previous parts that I've incorrectly stated on camera, kind of in the moment, talking off the top of my head that something's been a double and it hasn't. But wherever I've made a little error like that, I'll always seek to correct it. You know, that is something that's very important to me. I do take what I'm doing seriously in terms of prepping my notes and research and things every now and again that I am speaking off the cuff like I'm doing now. If I don't remember something correctly, I'm always the first to hold my hands up and correct it. So, yeah, you'll always see the odd note from me if I've done something that I feel like I need to explain in the notes. But yeah, going back to Yola Tango, because I'm not made any mistakes just yet. Really good band. Take inspiration, in my opinion, from everywhere. I think Ira Kaplan strikes me as being a very, almost like very academic when it comes to music. And I don't mean that in terms of that he doesn't play anything without feeling or, you know, that it's an academic approach. Far from it. His music is full of emotion. He's written some truly beautiful songs. What I mean by academic is that I just think he's a student of music, a musicologist, if you will. And because of that, he tends to delve into lots of different genres of music. Although I do feel like the Velvet Underground for him are a constant influence, or at least creeping in quite a lot. I do think he's got a lot of Velvet's appreciation, but there's so many others as well. So going to the actual album, yeah, gosh, I really do enjoy this one so much, and it is a huge listen. I mean, Sun Squashed, which finishes this record off, is 26 minutes long and 21 seconds. But that one really does need to be heard. It's a real experience, that one. Speeding Motorcycle, there's a version of that on here, the Daniel Johnston song. One that I absolutely love, it is by far my favourite track on the collection, and I don't know why it wasn't on like a studio album or anything, because it's one of my favourite Yola Tango songs. It's called Something to Do, and I would really just encourage you, if you've not heard that song, to go and listen to that. It's just so, it's lovely, really sort of just pleasant, you know, indie guitar pop. Really lovely little guitar solo in there, which I believe Georgia Hubley does play. She's the drummer primarily in the band, but I do think from memory she plays the guitar lead on that. But Ira Kaplan's voice and it sounds lovely. It's just a really pretty little ditty, that one. I enjoy that a lot. Um, on side one here, opening track I enjoy a lot. Evanescent Psychic Pez Drop. I mean, great name. Sounds like something, you know, straight out the 1960s, that one. There's a lovely cover on here actually as well of Hanky Panky Know How, which is a John Cale track, and that is sung by Georgia Hubley, and it's really pretty. Great version of that. And then elsewhere, there's like yeah, there is, yeah, Blitzkrieg Bop. There is a version of that, but I don't recall that being great. I mean, some of it on here is, you know, we have got a bit of a mishmash, a mishmash, a mismatch, I should say, different words coming out at the same time of different sort of levels of quality. But overall, it is a really enjoyable listen. But I do think I've mentioned quite a few there of the ones that I like. Yeah, so yeah, that's actually a key thing to remember. That's where the Blitzkrieg Bop came in. So the first record, sides one and two, are all vocal tracks, and then sides 3 and 4, so record 2 are instrumental. And I should have mentioned that before with Sun Squash. So that is a gigantic instrumental. So you get all kinds of little bits and bobs. I mean, there's one on here that's like an 8 second long drum solo. So there's bits of filler and things on it as well. But it's a fun release, and I'm really glad that Yola Tango put it out. And I, for one, am happy to have it. So there's the artwork there again. Genius plus love equals Yola Tango. Okay, so now we've got some really classic soul coming up, courtesy of Sam Cooke, the man and his music, and it's a gatefold. Yay! It's a gatefold, so it can be shown. Here we go. Got some great photographs in here as well. Sam Cooke there. So hopefully you can see those properly. And the customary liner notes as well that you do get with these greatest hits and best ofs, as I've talked about throughout various parts. But yeah, what a voice! Phenomenal singer. Again, got Mum to thank for getting me into Sam Cooke. Pay tribute to Mum a few times in this series with the different people that she's got me into, but Sam Cooke was another one of her favourites. Just such a smooth voice, but like a real sort of grit to it as well. A voice that came along in the 80s, an artist that I did love a great deal, brilliant singer, was Terence Trent D'Arby, now known as Sananda Maitreya, but his voice reminded me a lot of a young Sam Cooke. And yeah, there is that grit there, but there's a sweetness to the voice as well. And he is a fantastic singer, Sam Cooke, one of the greatest ever for me. So favourite tracks, I mean, they're all wonderful, but I am going to point some out. Touch the Hem of His Garment. So I'll do them side by side. So we've got the 4 sides here. You Send Me, and these might seem obvious choices, but they are my favourites. On side 1, I'll Come Running Back to You, and then on side 2, Wonderful World. I'll never tire of hearing Wonderful World. Props upon loads of things, films, TV programmes, but I love it. Cupid is great as well. Similar with Cupid, that pops up a lot. Rome Wasn't Built in a Day. Side 3, Another Saturday Night. Good Times, Twisting the Night Away. And then Shake closes side 3. Shake is brilliant. And then on side 4, what have we got on here? Soothe Me, Bring It On Home to Me. But the collection finishes with my all-time favourite Sam Cooke track, which is A Change Is Gonna Come. I really do think that is a glorious piece of music, really truly wonderful, soul at its finest. It's just, yeah, it has to, again, it has to be heard, and it's one of those songs, just a classic of the genre, right up there with the greatest soul music that you can think of. A Change Is Gonna Come. It's just sang so beautifully from beginning to end. The lyrics are so compelling, the instrumentation, the swelling of the instruments as it builds, the production, really truly wonderful. So that's Sam Cooke, the man and his music. Okay, and as is the case again with this series I've done, we can flip from all over the shop with this batch. 1 minute we're talking about Yola Tango, then we're going to Sam Cooke. Now we're going to something completely different again. We're heading over to Glasgow with a couple here that they pushed the boundaries with a lot of the lyrics and sang about all kinds of subject matter and stuff. But I'm talking about the Vaselines, and this collection here is Enter the Vaselines. So we've got Francis McKee and Eugene Kelly, yeah, from Glasgow. So yeah, they got a real sort of boost, didn't they, with their fame and popularity, courtesy of a certain Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, when he was covering their songs and talking about them a lot. And Vaseline's even got up, I think, a few times at festivals and performances and concerts to jam on stage with Nirvana and play Vaseline songs. But yeah, they're really great. I enjoy them an awful lot. Put them in that sort of same category as the Pastels, and I know that Eugene Kelly was involved with the Pastels, contributed to recordings, etc. As I believe Francis did as well. So yeah, just great Glaswegian, fuzzy indie pop, quite subversive in places. Some of the lyrics at times are a little bit risque. Sort of dealing with all kinds, as I mentioned in my brief intro to it, subject matter. but really, really compelling as well. So this is a triple LP, this one. So you get a lot of music. So that's a photograph of the two of them there, and there's the back. Yeah, triple LP, that one. So let's get into some of my favourite tracks. So yeah, Son of a Gun, that was covered, and I'm not just going to say the ones as well that were covered by Nirvana, but I mean they did really pick out some of the top Vaseline songs to own in on. Rory Rise Me Roar is quite fun. There is a version on here of the song You Think You're a Man, which was very famously sung by Divine. There's a good version of that on here. It's quite a sort of a pounding rhythm to that one. Quite a different sort of a tune for the Vaselines, I would say. We've got Dying for It as well, although I was actually more familiar with the Acoustics version of that before the Vaselines one. But they're both good takes of the song. I do enjoy the Acoustics version of it though. Molly's Lips is on here as well. Jesus Wants Me for a Sunbeam. So these are all on LP1. On LP2, let's see what else I like on here. Flushy, yeah, that was quite good. Monster Pussy's just daft, but it's quite funny talking about this pussycat. It's a bit daft, but it's sort of over and done with soon enough. And The Day I Was a Horse, again, some of these are just more very sort of catchy melodies, but at times the vocals are a bit um, just quite sort of not throwaway, but just a little bit head scratching at times, but in a good way. I mean, I do really enjoy them as a band a lot. Oliver Twisted's on here as well. And then we've just got various versions of the same song. So, Red Poppy pops up on here quite a couple of times, Son of a Gun, another version of You Think You're a Man. Then there's a live recording on here as well. Um, yeah, I didn't know I loved you till I saw you rock and roll. Teenage Superstars is on here as well. Um, but yeah, there's some really good stuff on there. Really good. I do enjoy that one a lot. Big listen with the three LPs, but it is nice to stick on every now and again. So I'll just pop that away and then I will move on. So that's the Vaselines there with Enter the Vaselines. Okay, and now we're up to again something very different here in the Walker Brothers and their greatest hits. My granny was a big fan of the Walker Brothers, so I do always think of my granny um, when I see or think about the Walker Brothers. So yeah, some cracking photograph there in the middle. This is on really solid, sturdy. By the way, cardboard. This one really thick. So back in the day, when they did, sometimes you get these pressings and covers when they're quite flimsy. But yeah, there's a lot of sturdiness to that. And again, some words there being written about the Walker Brothers. So yeah, one of those iconic groups, pin-ups, brought Scott Walker to the world's attention, and then he went on to have a very interesting career of his own. But yeah, favourites on here. Let's get into it. Yeah, Land of a Thousand Dances is brilliant to start it off. Make it easy on yourself. Some of these are absolute just standards, and yeah, these are timeless songs here. I don't want to hear it anymore. Dancing in the Street, there's a version of that on here. But yeah, my all-time favourite Walker Brothers song on side 2 of record 1 is The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore. Could listen to that forever and a day. I'm never going to tire of that one. It's just one of those. I know I use that phrase a lot, but it's true. There's a version of People Get Ready on here as well. And then as we get into record 2, side 2, Lonely Winds, these are the ones that I personally like. Great version on here of Stand By Me. I Need You, Walk in the Rain, Just Say Goodbye. Yeah, excellent collection that. And again, another one of these that I do think I picked up at a pretty good price. So very pleased to have that. The Walker Brothers one, a good one to chill out to when the mood takes me. So that's that one. Okay, a quick water break. So now we're heading to I think this chap was, yeah, Chicago, I think. He's from Chicago. Great singer-songwriter, very, very enjoyable. Love his voice, love his words, quite acerbic, quite biting. We've got here Warren Zevon. This is the best of Warren Zevon. And then down here on the hype sticker, which says features quite the classics, and these are all classics. I was definitely going to pick these out. Werewolves of London, which has got that kind of similar melody to Sweet Home Alabama. I always kind of interchange, hear the two interchangeably in my head. But I actually do. I think I prefer the song Werewolves of London. I just think it's just such an interesting song. Love the lyrics of it. Just always intrigued me. That I remember from the first time hearing it. It was just like, what is he singing about at all? Just really, really captivating in that way. And then it's also got on here Desperados, Under the Eaves, and Lawyers, Guns and Money. So they're the three tracks that were highlighted there for the hype sticker. But yeah, really good singer-songwriter stuff here with Warren Zevon. Other ones I enjoy, side two there, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. Poor, Poor Pitiful Me finishes off with Looking for the Next Best Thing. But other tracks on side one, other than Werewolves of London, which what else do I like on there? Is oh yeah, the Headless Thompson Gunner. I do enjoy that one a lot. And yeah, the aforementioned Desperados Under the Eaves as well. So that there is Warren Zevon. Okay, so this one's an interesting journey for me with this next band. So from Scotland, they famously recorded a cover which I heard years and years ago and just sort of thought, yeah, it was good, but it was enjoyable enough. Saw it on a TV program called the All Grey Whistle Test, which was a popular program here in the UK, where bands and artists would play live, and saw this performance, on an old like sort of repeat, and sort of broadcasting on BBC Two or whatever it would have been on. I watched it, and the cover always stuck in my head because they were such a striking band visually, but then just forgot about them. So I'm talking years and years ago here. And then I heard a song of theirs years and years later that I was like, wow, it utterly blew my socks off. And then it was pointed out to a friend of mine, have you ever heard them do that cover that, that I'm now going to reveal to you? And I was like, whoa, is that like the same group? And he was like, yeah, yeah. So anyway, when I'd pieced that together and worked that out, that this song I'd heard that blew my socks off, I thought, right, I need just to get everything kind of similar to how I reacted with Felt, really. It was just one of those where I kind of went on a bit of a splurge and thought, right, I just need to, you know, devour all this music now and gobble it up. And it just really, really got into my system, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. So that band, in case you're wondering who on earth I'm talking about, is the sensational Alex Harvey Band. So the cover that I'm talking about was Delilah. That was the performance that I saw in the Old Grey Whistle Test, where you had the guitarist Sal Clemenson dressed up like a harlequin. I mean, they really did look so odd. We had like the sort of the mime, the sort of Marcel face paint, and he was just this really bizarre sort of character playing guitar. And then Alex Harvey himself just looked. He just looked like a real, just somebody in a way, just somebody you wouldn't mess with really. He had like quite a presence about him, even on television, just performing a song. So it was Delilah that I thought, yeah, it's good. I like the version, but didn't really kind of connect until years later. But the song that blew me away was Faith Healer. That was the song when I heard it years later, and I was like, wow, it just sounded so ahead of its time. It sounded fresh, even when I heard it. Just the guitar work in it, the arrangement, just everything about it. It just sounded so hypnotic and almost a bit sort of like mantra-esque. I just couldn't describe it really, but I just thought I really need to get into this band. So I did indeed do that. I've got a lot of Saab. They're also known as Saab for short. Stuff in my collection, and yeah, went on a great journey with them. So that's kind of my waffle over about how I got into them and discovered them. So this is a really, really nice rendering here of the collection with sort of like this comic strip sort of aesthetic to it. Again, you've got some notes. There's the front. That's Alex Harvey there in the stripy jumper and that excellent hair. And then we've got some more drawings and things on the back. So yeah, I love all the tracks on here, but let's pick out some favourites. Yeah, Faith Healer was the one. That was my in with Alex Harvey. It was like, right, yeah, I'm on board. I'm getting into this band. This just that is happening now. But other ones that I love on here, there's a brilliant version of Next, which is a Jacques Brel song. It was done it was done by Scott Walker, recorded by him, but the Alex Harvey version, I've heard a few different people covering Next, and I don't think I've heard a better version of it than the way Alex Harvey does it. It just sounds, yeah, it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. Action Strasser on side one is good as well. Side two, give my compliments to the chef. Framed is brilliant, just classic, brilliant blues rock, that one. Great guitar, but just a great band as well. I mean, they are a sensational band, you know, the band that he had behind him. Tomorrow Belongs to Me is on side two. Side three is the side with Faith Healer and, funnily enough, the Delilah, a live version of Delilah on there as well. Then side four, we got Boston Tea Party, which is brilliant. I've always enjoyed that one. There's No Lights on the Christmas Tree, Mother. And then it finishes off with Giddy Up a Ding Dong. So brilliant band from Scotland, love them to bits, really happy that I discovered them. It took me long enough to get to them, but at least I got to them at some point. Alex Harvey, sensational Alex Harvey band collection, that's that one. Okay, got a lady here that needs no introduction whatsoever, so I'm just going to launch straight into the tracks. This is an unbelievable collection. This really is what a best of should be about, greatest hits, and it's Madonna with the Immaculate Collection. This is a thoroughly superb collection of songs. This is easily my favourite phase of Madonna's career. At this point, she was just cranking out classic singles. So there's hopefully you can get that in there. You can see Madonna there. Really, truly wonderful stuff. These are all brilliant, but I'll pick out some favourites. So yeah, I've got my elder sisters to thank for the exposure to Madonna. They played Madonna a lot when we were growing up. As I mentioned in previous parts, I was absorbing music from all over the place when I was growing up. The house was full of music. Got a brother listening to his stuff, got two older sisters listening to her stuff. I was discovering stuff on my own, and then my little sister as well was listening to things sort of probably around the same time as me. There's only 2 years difference between us. But yeah, Madonna was played a lot. A lot of the pop music came from the sisters, although my second eldest sister was into a lot of indie bands as well, and Pet Shop Boys and other stuff. But yeah, going back to Madonna, favourites on here. Well, I mean, side two is just probably one of my favourite side twos on any best of ever, to be honest. So we've got Material Girl, Crazy for You, Into the Groove, and Live to Tell. All absolutely brilliant, and I would say that Live to Tell is probably tied with Crazy for You as being my favourite Madonna song. Borderline on side one is great, and very recently, in recent times, my favourite ever band, the Manic Street Preachers, have taken to covering Borderline, do a very good version of it. Saw them at a local festival to me, and they did a great version of it there. Really got the crowd up, and just a bit of fun. I think they did a cover of She Sells Sanctuary in that show as well. So went from Madonna to the Cult in terms of covers in one evening, which was fun. Then other ones we've got on here, yeah, Papa Don't Preach, Open Your Heart, I've always enjoyed a lot. Lies Like Bonita, Like a Prayer. And then towards the end, side four, my favourites on there, I would say, are Cherish and Vogue. Just excellent 80s pop, courtesy of Madonna. Okay. So now this group here, we spoke about the House of Love a little earlier on, both in this part and in the previous part. So Terry Bickers, who was in the House of Love, their guitarist, phenomenal player. He went on after the House of Love sort of disbanded or broke up, or there was some infighting and all kinds going on in there, I think. But that'd be a story for another time. Terry Bickers went off to found this project, which was called Levitation. That's the name of the band, and this collection of singles and live tracks and bits and pieces here is called Coterie, and that is a very, very visually arresting image there. So this is a different, altogether different animal to the House of Love. I would say this music here that Terry Bickers was doing falls more into sort of a progressive rock vein, some psychedelic elements to it as well. But then there's also bits and pieces on here that I hear that are sort of quite Hendrix influenced. Some space rock in there as well, and then other times, certainly on their album Need for Not, there's quite a harsh metallic tone to some of the stuff that they're doing as well. So it's a very interesting band that you put together here, Terry Bickers. The players are all excellent. They've got they had a Bick Hayes, I think he was called. He was one of the guitarists. He was in formerly of the Cardiacs, and they had some really, really top notch musicians in here. Yeah, Christian Hayes, he was called. I think he was nicknamed Bick. He played in the Cardiacs. Lawrence O'Keefe on bass, Robert White keyboards and guitars, and then Dave Francolini on drums. He is some drummer, by the way. He can really drum. I think he was from Bristol actually. So yeah, really top band supporting Terry Bickers. And favourites on here, I love Firefly, which opens the collection off. Rosemary Jones is a live recording. Smile is a live recording as well on side 2. And then it ends with a track called Bedlam. So I would really recommend getting into Levitation. Coterie is a good starting point, but if you really want to hear Levitation at their best, for me personally, then I would get the album Need for Not, which is just, I think it's superb. I do go back to that one a lot. So yeah, different to the House of Love, but if you're into Terry Bickers' guitar playing as much as I am, then this gives you another avenue to explore and to hear a different side of Terry's playing. You know, within the House of Love, it was much more, still excellent work, but much more jingly jangly and indie orientated. This one here is a bit more sort of experimental and goes out there a little bit more with what he's doing. So that's that one. Okay, now we're up to some classic UK. Is it rock? Is it pop? I'll let you decide that. So we've got the Shadows here with 20 Golden Grapes. Yeah, I've always really enjoyed the Shadows. They just always make me smile, and yeah, just lovely instrumental pieces, aren't they? And Hank Marvin, what a guitar player. And it's always wonderful as well, I find, that when you listen to these old, sorry, I shouldn't say old, should I? When you listen to these guitar players from yesteryear, and they're talking about their influences, you know, like Sir Dave Gilmour and a lot of these sort of, you know, guitar players that have gone on to have stellar careers of their own and become like guitar idols in their own right. So many of them cite Hank Marvin as an influence. So many of them do, in terms of when they were learning the guitar, you know, they were trying to master the likes of Apache and Man of Mystery and that type of thing. And it is lovely that Hank Marvin does get his due, because he's such a good guitar player. That beautiful, clean twang, that tone that he's got, that is entirely his own thing. I never tire of hearing it. It just sounds so beautiful all the time whenever he plays anything. It's just, there's just a tone to it that is just distinctly him. Just the way that Brian May's got his own tone. You know, people can play a Queen track or try and emulate it, but it does not sound like Brian May. I feel like that's the case with Hank Marvin. He's just got a way of playing that is just him and him alone. Somebody like Dwayne Eddy as well, similar in that way. But yeah, I love the Shadows. So favourite tracks, I mean, I've just said 2 of them, Apache and Man of Mystery, are brilliant. Foot Tapper is indeed a foot tapper. But one of my favourites on here, just because of personal memories, and this is an anecdote for you all now, is when I used to work but back in for a newspaper group many years ago, and I was a young journalist cutting his teeth. My former boss, my manager, he was the head of the department, the team, he was a humongous Shadows fan, and he would sit, excuse me, while we were all working to our deadlines and typing out our bits of editorial, he would sit there bobbing his head along, you know, typing away. He used to have this kind of, he had this one, that sort of style, that technique of typing. which I'll never forget, just doing that with the fingers. He was old school in that way. And he'd just be bobbing his head along and he'd be humming like that. So anybody who worked in my team and anybody, that is an abiding memory. And that song, of course, is Atlantis by the Shadows. He would hum it all day, every day, pretty much. But none of us got tired of it. We would just all have a little grin to ourselves. And, if he was doing it a bit often, we'd maybe go and have a brew or whatever and just try crack on with our work. But yeah, you can see me smiling. It's just something that will always stick in my head. Whenever Atlantis kicks in, I just go back to being in the newsroom and listening to my former manager humming that with so much happiness. And as I said, his head would be bobbing away. And yeah, he loved the Shadows. So I did talk to him quite a lot about the Shadows in between when we weren't working and stuff. I was lucky that quite a few of my former colleagues were into great music. So that's just a little anecdote there anyway. So other ones I love, side 2, FBI is great. I've always enjoyed that one. Stingray, theme for young lovers, and then it finishes with Dance On. So there we go. Can't go wrong with that one. Great guitar music. The Shadows, 20 Golden Greats. Okay. So now we've flitted again back to another genre, going probably more back to the thing that I'm probably becoming a bit more, I won't say known for now, but I mean, I think it's pretty obvious when you see a lot of the things I'm showing that I am a big fan of a certain type of music, and this band here are one of my favourites. And this is Susie and the Banshees here with Once Upon a Time. Yeah, singles. I've always loved that. Oh yeah, that was the back of the Shadows, in case I didn't show it. Sorry, I can't remember if I'm showing them or not. And then there's Levitation. We'll just do a quick recap, just while I give my voice a minute. I'm pretty sure I showed this one, but I'll show it again. There's Madonna as well. There you go. So I'm not leaving you out. So that's them. So yeah, Susie and the Banshees, what can you say? Spoken about them before on the channel. Brilliant, brilliant group. Post-punk excellence. Susie's just incredible, iconic, brilliant, powerful in terms of what she stood for, what she was about. Great music. One of my favourites. Just songs that are beautiful and bizarre by equal measure, I would say. So I don't have Twice Upon a Time. I don't have the companion to this, so similar situation with the XTC one, but I'm happy to have this one. So all of these are brilliant, but again, we know it's the best of and they should be brilliant. This is a singles collection, but this just attests to how strong Susie's singles in these early days were. Side 1, I'm just going to read them all out because they're all so good. Hong Kong Garden, Mirage, The Staircase Mystery, Playground Twist and Loving a Void is side 1. Side 2, we've got Happy House, Christine and Israel. They are all fantastic, but I'd have to say that two of my favourites on this collection and two of my favourite Susie tunes full stop that are also on my favourite Susie album are Spellbound and Arabian Nights. They are wonderful, wonderful songs. So that is a great collection, that one. Apologies for the crackling there in the cover, in case that's coming through really loudly. So that's Once Upon a Time. I do hope to get Twice Upon a Time at some point, but I think it tends to be pretty expensive these days. I think it was a bit of a rare pressing, that one. I think the Waxworks by XTC will probably be easy to get hold of, but I've not forgotten about it. I'll try and get it at some point, but happy to have that one. Okay, so now we're moving back to some really classic, straight up American rock now. I think American Canadian actually, to be factually accurate. We've got here Steppenwolf, ups the back with gold. That's quite a distinctive cover there. Steppenwolf, yeah, and there's the back. So yeah, just straight up, good old fashioned rock. Really, really good stuff, this one. So favourites on here, I mean, Born to be Wild. What can you say about Born to be Wild? It's just cool, isn't it? It's just absolutely cool. Makes you want to get on your, get the motor running and head out on the highway, doesn't it? So Born to be Wild, Easy Rider, obviously, all the association with that. I also really like It's Never Too Late. Side two is actually really strong though. I mean, I do like Move Over on side one, but side two has got on it Magic Carpet Ride and The Pusher, which are both songs that I really enjoy by Steppenwolf. But Born to Be Wild is the king on this one. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Timeless, never get tired of hearing it. It aged great, in terms of just the sound of it. I mean, it just sounds so heavy and rocking, and it's just got such a pounding energy to it, like a vitality to the song that is infectious. So yeah, Born to Be Wild. But that collection there, Steppenwolf Gold. Okay, now next one, we're moving into UK punk territory now, sort of punk, post-punk. And then they became a rather adept new wave group as well. They evolved their sound as they went along. And this here is The Stranglers' greatest hits from 1977 to 1990. These are a superb group. They really, really are. I've always enjoyed The Stranglers a lot. And I know that some of the lyrics and some of the songs are a bit, probably a bit juvenile and maybe have not aged well. But I think that was always the thing about the Stranglers. I think a lot of the time what they were about was just to provoke and to prod and almost just to poke fun. And I think at times were deliberately and willfully controversial. I think that was their way of almost poking fun at certain members of society in a way. But what I mean by that is maybe people that they saw to be slightly, uneducated, or people that were representing things that they didn't actually believe themselves, but almost using characters within their songs, personas to explore those themes. Like a song like Peaches, for instance, or something. But that's just my take on it. I mean, I might not be. Maybe I don't know whether giving them too much credit at times. I really don't know with that, but they always came across to me when you read a bit more into them. Hugh Cornwell in particular. Highly educated, and they all had a lot of abilities and a lot of talents outside the band from what I could see. So I don't know, I just always kind of thought in some ways like the Stranglers were maybe adopting characters to an extent, maybe this sort of hardened persona, or maybe just doing it in a way that was giving them some enjoyment, but just almost doing it in like a kind of a mocking way as well. So if anybody's got any, feelings or opinions on that about Stranglers, I'm sure there's people out there that know an awful lot more about them than I do. Then please do let me know, and we can converse about that in the comments. But in terms of the musicality, I've always enjoyed them from a musical perspective. Although I do just appreciate that some of those songs, certainly from earlier in the career, if you hear them now, some of them you're just thinking, I'm not really sure there with that, or what they were going for. But then other things they've done, they've written some really pretty songs as well, and they've always been quite experimental with their music. So certainly not knocking them. I'm just trying to maybe get a little bit more of a handle on what a lot of their maybe ambitions and incentives were when they were doing what they were doing. So this is quite a distinctive period for the group, 1977 to 1990. So favourites on here, No More Heroes. I've always loved that one. Um, that was famously, well, I should probably say inspired, although I think he did actually go to court. No, I'm not. I'm thinking of oh no, I am. No, it was No More Heroes. Yeah, I was getting a little bit confused there. Elastica wrote a song in the 1990s that I think sounded a little bit too close to No More Heroes. Just trying to think what that song was by Elastica. I think it was Waking Up. Someone can correct me on that, because I'm thinking in the moment there, if I'm not 100% sure on that one. But and then there was another one with Wire as well that sounded a lot like Three Girl Rumba. But that's a different story again. Walk On By, great cover of Walk On By on here. Great song. Love the original, love this version of it as well when he says he's going to go off and have a walk about. That always makes me laugh. Hugh Cornwell there. Duchess is just superb, one of my favourite ever Strangler songs. Then we've got Golden Brown on here as well, which I don't think it ever got to number one. I think it was number two, I think. But yeah, great song, Golden Brown. And then on side two, which kind of goes into a little bit more of a new wavy feel. We've got Skin Deep. Wow, yes, Skin Deep is absolutely brilliant. I really enjoy Skin Deep a lot. Nice and Nice is good. Always the Sun though for me is one that I go back to a lot. Love that little guitar solo on there. Love the production on it. Sentiment of it, is good. It's very thought provoking, that one. And then to finish, we have a couple of covers. So we've got All Day and All of the Night by the Kinks, great version of that on here, and then it ends with 96 Tears, which was question mark and the Mysterians, the Mysterins, was it that one? If I'm pronouncing that correctly. So yeah, 96 Tears, I've always enjoyed that one. Love the work on that by Dave Greenfield. I mean, his work throughout on keyboards was brilliant, but great band, Jet Black on drums, JJ Bennell on bass, vocals, and then Hugh Cornwell as well. So, yeah, really good band, The Stranglers. Do come back to them a lot, and I've got quite a few of their albums in my collection as well. Okay, so now we're heading into a different realm again with some Philly Soul. Yeah, Philly Soul here, courtesy of the Stylistics. So I have my love of Prince, to sort of, pay tribute to Prince with, I'm just checking there that we're okay. Yeah, that's fine. Just checking there's something that we're okay there. Yeah, I'm not gonna not gonna time out there or anything. Yeah, the stylistics are just brilliant. Smooth Philly Soul. Yeah, I was talking about Prince. So yeah, Prince had done a cover of Betcha by Golly Wow, and I enjoyed that so much that it made me want to go and explore the stylistics a little bit more. And this is one of those albums that I picked up very cheaply. This is one that you do encounter quite a lot in record stores. There's the back there. There's a group shot there of them. Oh yeah, and that was what was on the back of the Stranglers. It's just the track listing on that one. Um, so yeah, the stylistics. So I'd have to say Betcha by Golly Wow is my favourite on here. But I also love as well on side two, Stop, Look, Listen to Your Heart. This is just really smooth. I mean, it's just smooth soul, beautifully harmonised, and the songs are really well written. Break Up to Make Up, I like a lot as well. Opens up with You Make Me Feel Brand New. And then side two, I'm Still in Love with You, it says on here as well. And then which other one did I like on here from when I last heard it? Oh, You Were Everything as well. Yeah, there's on there as well. So that's the stylistics. Yeah, it's a little bit beaten up, this one, the cover in that, but yeah, as always, the record inside is fine and plays well. Probably listened to that now, maybe several years ago, but I've kept hold of it. I mean, I've gone through my record collections many times, and as and when I've needed to, sold bits and pieces or traded or whatever. But I've always kept hold of that one because I just enjoy as well, not only the music but just the connection through discovering them via Prince. So that's that. Okay, so this group here, it might be a little bit. I'm not sure if they're particularly well known or not. I mean, I discovered them purely by chance. I was searching through eBay one evening, and I'd set like in the parameters, when you can, put buy it now or whatever for people that use it. And I had like a very specific budget that I put in, and this was an album that just came up, and I think it was like, well, the first volume, because there's two to show you, was like 4.99 with free postage, and I thought, well, for that, it was absolutely a punt. It really was. There was a little brief description of the type of music it was, but I just thought, yeah, for five or whatever, I just fancied buying something, and I went for it and got it, and I was extremely impressed with it. So much so that I've spent a good bit more on volume two because I wanted them both. But yeah, this band here are called, yeah, that's the first volume. They're called Sweet Madness, and they are from Spokane in Washington State. And yeah, it's upside down there the way they got it. So it's called Made in Spokane. So down here, where this finger is, this one, 1978 to 1981. And yeah, my hype sticker here explains it includes three concert posters, an 8x10 photo, and then it also goes on to say an excellent, bizarre, arty, satirical jam meets Devo hybrid I think that is pretty accurate. I would say that the Jam meets Devo is a good way of describing them, but there is another band I'm going to throw into the mix as well. And then it also mentions a very Clash vibe to them with their catchy tune, I Need Electricity. Now, the Clash wasn't the other group I was going to mention. This band reminded me an awful, awful lot of early XTC. I mean, and I Need Electricity sounds more like XTC to me than the Clash. So if you're a really big fan of white music, go-to era XTC, you're going to love this band. It isn't so much the vocals, although at times they do sound slightly like Alan Partridge, not Andy Partridge. Sorry there, Andy Partridge. Apologies for that. You are certainly not Alan Partridge. Andy Partridge. At times when he sings, he had that kind of sea lion type vocal bark thing that he had going on. Sweet Madness don't have that, but it's very much the music. It's sort of those herky jerky rhythms, the keyboard lines, and it's just all a bit sort of nerdy, a bit pumped up, a little bit hyper, very energetic, angular, but really infectious. So yeah, if you're not aware of Sweet Madness and you are into sort of, the likes of Devo, early XTC, yeah, definitely the Jam. I do hear a bit of the Jam in there as well on other songs. Then please do give this band a try. So this is the back. And yeah, I was really impressed with this because it was a proper pump that I just thought to myself in that moment I fancied buying something and it just came up on the listing and I just went for it. So I do like a lot of songs on here, but I'll just mention a few that I really enjoy. I Don't Want to Be a Number is really catchy. That just comes in under 2 minutes. We Will Obey. Concrete River is good, slightly slower one, that one. And Buzz Boys. I mean, a lot of these songs are kind of clocking in between 2 and 3 minutes. I Need Electricity, and the open side two is probably the best song on here. Mechanical Things is excellent as well. That just keeps sort of getting quicker and quicker and quicker as it goes along. It Don't Bother Me is good. Assembly Line as well. Yeah, some really good ones on there. Can't Take It as well on side one's good. So that's volume one of Sweet Madness. And then Made in Spokane. And then this here is volume two as well. So very similar again, in terms of the sound doesn't change much. I mean, it is still from the same period. It's 1978 to 1981. But yeah, that's a gatefold, that one. So that one, yeah, that one wasn't. This one is. So as is what I like to do with my gatefolds to show you on this series. I'm going to open it up. So that gives you hopefully a bit of an insight there into, let me look at that artwork. It's brilliant, isn't it? That's the back. Yeah, so side two, I mean, I would say it's not as strong as side one, but still very tuneful and still very much in the vein that side one inhabits as well. This one focuses more on a slightly artier side to it as well. The earlier tracks on volume one are a little bit more manic. But what do I like on here? Monica's Had a Change is good. Obsessive Compulsive on here is probably my favourite on the entire volume. That again just comes under 2 minutes on side one. Disposable's good. Grab and Hold, and then on side two, Are You Domesticated, again clocking under 2 minutes is a good one. DOA, and then I like Closing Number actually, which for them is quite a long song at 4 minutes and 34, a song called Flight Number 77. So that's Sweet Madness. So if anybody knows a little bit more about that band who's watching and you'd like to comment, then please do. I mean, they're quite enigmatic for me, but going off these two volumes, I've really, really enjoyed what I've heard, and I'm glad that I took that punt initially with volume one so much that I then got volume two. Right, so from Sweet Madness, we're moving over to some Tamla Motown, courtesy of the Temptations, their greatest hits. I mean, what can we say about the Temptations that's not already been said? Again, up there, soul royalty, one of Motown's greatest ever acts. For many, the greatest, which, music is subjective. Certainly up there though, aren't they? The Temptations. So again, these are probably going to sound very obvious, but my favourites on here. I mean, I have to say My Girl, just because of how wonderful it truly is. Ain't Too Proud to Beg. Love that one. Get Ready. I might even like Get Ready more than My Girl, or certainly um, equal. I mean, Get Ready is yeah. So that's gold that one. So they were all side one, and then side two. Since Lost My Baby, um, The Girl's All Right with Me, and then I'll Be in Trouble's on here as well. And then it finishes with Girl, Why You Wanna Make Me Blue. Brilliant collection. Another one there, courtesy of Mum and her love of Motown when I was growing up. So, Temptations. Okay, now we're going over to Northern Ireland. So we're back in the UK now with some classic garage rock, a bit of blues rock in there as well, in some places. And this is another collector series. So I showed you the sensational Alex Harvey band collection before, which was a collector series, and now we've got one with them. There you go. Then the collection featuring Van Morrison, and there's Van Morrison there in the background on the saxophone. So there's the middle. Some pictures there of them looking very young. Hopefully you can see those there. My hands aren't in the way. So them, yeah, classic garage rock. I mean, there's not much more to say than that. Obviously, Van Morrison went on to have, a legendary career afterwards. But I loved the work that he did in them. Such a good group. This is a great collection. Yeah, we've got 4 sides of material. So again, obvious but brilliant. Baby Please Don't Go. That kicks off the collection. And then there's a bit of synergy there to a previous part where I talked about Bebopalula by Gene Vincent being featured in the David Lynch film Wild at Heart. Baby Please Don't Go is featured in Wild at Heart as well. Such a good soundtrack to that film. And again, watching Wild at Heart, because it's one of my favourite films by Lynch, gave me a greater appreciation of the song. But I could listen to it over and over again. The guitar line in it is just utterly brilliant. Everything else is brilliant in it as well. That driving bass line, but the guitar's great. I have to mention Gloria on side two, track one. Utterly brilliant, that one, really great. But I'll go back to side one again and just pick a few more out. I Put a Spell on You, there's a version of that on here. Hello Josephine, Don't Start Crying Now. Then we get over to side two, Gloria. And then there's a brilliant cover here of the Bob Dylan song, It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. I love the introduction of it. I love the music part on that. My brain's going to let me down here now. Was it Jackass? I'm not sure. The intro of them's version of It's All Over Now, Baby Blue was sampled by Beck and used on his Odelay album. I just love it. It's just this chiming, twinkly instrumentation. It's just so infectious. Beck repurposed it brilliantly on his album, but I love how them rendered it and how they took Bob Dylan's song. And again, like I've mentioned throughout the series, that a great cover is when you make it your own. And I do feel that them did a wonderful version of It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. I also enjoy on here My Little Baby, How Long Baby. Wow, there were so many baby. There's so many songs on here with the word baby, and it's untrue. So many. Right, side three, yeah, Here Comes the Night is a superb one as well. Stormy Monday. God, this is such a good collection. I like it like that, Out of Sight. And then side four, we've got Route 66, Get Your Kicks On, Call My Name, and then it ends with music. Mystic Eyes, yeah. Yeah, I might need to check my eyes. They're not being too mystic at the moment, are they? I'm being a bit misty eyes. So, yeah, great collection that by them and Van Morrison. Superb stuff, classic music that never gets old. So that's that one. Okay. Said it was a big pile, so we've got the top 5 still to go, but I've now only got 3. Yeah, 3 left in the actual pile. Then we get into the top 5. So if you're still with me, really appreciate your time and attention. Thank you very much indeed. So now we're heading over to Nottingham, band from the early 1990s that I absolutely adore. Beautiful music throughout their career. Slip it out there, show you the gatefold. And this is Tindersticks with a collection called Past Imperfect. And this really stretches some distance, this collection. This is from 1992 right through to 2021. That's some collection, that, isn't it? And then let's see what it says on the hype sticker here. Yeah, 30 years of Tindersticks. Double LP with 20 career spanning tracks, plus unreleased song, Both Sides of the Blades. So that's just a little hype sticker there. So yeah, Tindersticks, love them to bits, as I've just said there. Let's open it up and show you that. Always had gorgeous artwork, beautiful instrumentation, take their musical cues from lots and lots of different places. You know, there's a little bit of Baroque pop in there, chamber pop, drone, sort of Velvet Underground type influences, bit of Lee Hazelwood in there, country. They've experimented and dabbled with funk music. They're one of these groups that are multifaceted. They are taking from lots and lots of different places, and then they make it very distinctly their own sound. And then we've got just the front cover there. Yeah, these are a really, really, really beautiful special group to me, Tindersticks. They're excellent. The first two albums I think are masterpieces personally. I've owned all their albums at some point or another in different formats, and Tindersticks are just, well, yeah, they're a band I've always come back to. Their vocalist Stuart Staples has got a really distinctive vocal style. I mean, as I've mentioned before, I do gravitate to a lot of artists that have got distinctive vocal styles, but Stuart Staples, it sort of sounds a bit like, I mean, I did a horrible impression before of David Gedge from The Wedding Present. I can actually do a better version than that. It's just because I'm on camera, I think. But yeah, with Stuart Staples, it's sort of a little bit like Roland Gift from the Fine Young Cannibals. There's sort of like that slight tone to it, but he mumbles quite a lot as well. So when he's singing, it sort of comes a bit like there's this really odd. Sometimes it's hard to decipher what he's actually singing, but I've always loved his voice. Like there's a real like to it, and it's either one of those that maybe you do get into it and you enjoy it, or it might be one that you just think, no, that isn't for me. But I would say that anybody who's getting into the Tindersticks, and please don't let that impression there sway you one way or the other. Go and listen for yourself. I did try my best with it, but the music is just beautiful and very soothing at times. But they can rock out a bit as well when they want to. So yeah, just be prepared for quite distinctive vocals, but the words and lyrics are always worth reading too. So on here, I love the earlier stuff. I've already said that. So it starts off with City Sickness, which is amazing, great song. That's on the debut. There's a version of Her on here as well, which appears on the first album. It's got 92 in brackets here, so I think it's a slightly earlier version because the first album came out in 1993. Tiny Tears is just gorgeous. One of the most beautiful, heartrending songs I've ever heard. Traveling Light has got a real Nancy and Lee vibe to it. That one, he does sing there. Stuart Staples with a bit more of a Lee Hazelwood tone, and then the duet is with Carla Torgerson. Apologies if I've mispronounced that, but she has like more of the Nancy. She's doing the Nancy style there. And then as we go through the record and the career, goes on, I mean, we're talking over 30 years, so it's a brilliant distillation of their career, to be honest. Rented Rooms I've always enjoyed. Can We Start Again? My Oblivion. Then we move further in again. Harmony Around My Table. This Fire of Autumn. What Are You Fighting For? And then on the final side, Were We Once Lovers? Pinky in the Daylight, and then actually that unreleased track, Both Sides of the Blade, I thought was quite nice as well. Again, if you're a collector of Tinderstick stuff, then the only way to have got that track would be to buy this collection. So very, very good stuff indeed. If anybody isn't aware of the Tindersticks, I would definitely urge you to check them out. Okay, so two more before we get into the top five. So this group here, I think we're going back to Yeah, the 60s again now. I have to keep, I've got to be like a bit of a grasshopper here mentally with flitting from place to place and like a frog jumping from lily pad to lily pad. So now we are back in the 60s with Vanilla Fudge, and this group came out of Long Island. So yeah, Vanilla Fudge. So the reason I got into them, or the reason that I wanted to find out more about them, is because they did a cover which is on here of Some Velvet Morning. Interestingly, I've just been speaking about Lee Hazelwood in relation to Tinder Sticks, and I always enjoy hearing Some Velvet Morning being covered because there's so many people who've tackled it. I mean, the Lee Hazelwood version for me is still the definitive one, but I've heard Thin White Rope covering it. Primal Scream have done a version of it. There's loads of people that have covered it. It's just a great song, and I do particularly enjoy the Vanilla Fudge version of Some Velvet Morning. Goes on for like 7.5 minutes, but that is one of the things about Vanilla Fudge. They sort of take, they do a lot of covers and they stretch them out, and there's almost like a slightly, would I say proggy? Is it slightly prog what they do? I suppose there's prog elements to it in terms of the build up between songs in terms of dynamics. When I say build up between song, I mean sort of the intro building into verses, building into choruses, that sort of thing, and then outros. These are songs that just sort of unfold gradually as you're listening to them. They create a mood, they create a vibe. Usually, quite a bit of studio trickery is involved. You got different instruments coming in and out, phasing in, fading in with the channels and that thing when you're listening to it. So yeah, these are they're an interesting group. There you go. I've been helped out. That is a really good way of describing them here. Psychedelic symphonic rock. Yeah. So again, I mean, a lot of prog music is symphonic, but yeah, there is a psychedelic tinge to it. And ones that I enjoy on here a lot. I mean, Some Velvet Morning is the reason I bought it, but Shotgun is very good. I do actually really enjoy Need Love, which is the first track, side one, and I Can't Make It Alone as well, which, yeah, that's a Carole King one, I think. And Street Walking Woman, that's like a 6-minute piece as well that concludes side one. So that's Vanilla Fudge. So if you're interested in wanting to learn a bit more about them. But yeah, just, great vocal work on there, great instrumentation, taking, familiar songs and just putting their own stamp on them. So this is a band who I would say excel and, are experts in covers. So yeah, if you're into that, then I would give them a try. Okay, and the last one now before I get into the top five, classic American, good old American rock and roll, Heartland rock, power pop, bit of everything in here. We've got the greatest hits of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This is a really, really good collection. So happy to have this. I got this a number of years ago. I got it for Christmas actually, years and years ago. Um, I mean, I don't think I've even played it all that often. Um, just looking at how, I mean, I do always endeavour to look after all of my records, but I can see the shelfware on it is like super, super minimal. Um, so it's probably just because I know the songs so well, they're just sort of all etched in my brain that maybe, excuse me, if you heard my tummy rumble there, sorry about that. If that got picked up on camera there, that's me being told I need to go and have something to eat soon. But yeah, that's the inside there. Some brilliant photographs there. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. There's the front cover. I mean, this must be one of the most famous greatest hits going, I would imagine now. And then there's that iconic logo of the band with the guitar there, the flying V guitar there going through the heart. And there's Tom with his band with that distinctive blonde hair. So again, favourites on here are very obvious, but they are brilliant for a reason. Side A alone, we've got American Girl, Breakdown, anything that's rock and roll, Listen to Her Heart, I Need to Know, and Refugee. So it's not a bad way to start us off. There we go, that's him. Side B, Don't Do Me Like That, Even the Losers, Here Comes My Girl, The Waiting, You Got Lucky. But then we get some of my personal favourites on side C and D. I mean, I love American Girl and Breakdown, but Side C, Don't Come Around Here No More. I've always loved that. Closes off on side C with Free Falling, which yeah, I think it's my favourite Tom Petty track, along with American Girl. Side D, Learning to Fly, Into the Great Wide Open, and then the collection finishes with a brilliant cover of Thunderclap Newman's Something in the Air. So yeah, that I would say is one of those greatest hits, that I would say most rock fans, assuming that they're in, that they are a fan of Tom Petty, but if you want really good, tuneful, straight up rock with lots of different components to it, as I mentioned, bit of jangle, power pop, Heartland rock, rock and roll, some country flavour in there every now and again, I think, as well with some of his stuff, then you can't really go wrong with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Okay, so now we're into the top five, and the final top five at that, which will bring part four to a close and will bring this series to a close on my channel as well. So here we go. So we're now going back to a really important time in music for me. We're going back to the 1990s. We're going back to Britpop. I'm 42 years old, so Britpop for me was like that was my movement. It was I was the perfect age. I feel for it. I was in my teenage years during Britpop, and it was just such an exciting time for music. Being in the UK and all these brilliant bands coming out, and yeah, then they were getting me into bands that had come from before that had influenced them. So kicking us off, got a couple of Britpop era bands in here. Need to be careful about one of them because they always hated the term Britpop for them being applied, which might be a big clue as to one of the groups I'm talking about. But this band here very much epitomised Britpop, and that is Supergrass. Excellent, excellent band, truly brilliant group from Oxfordshire. And this collection here is The Strange Ones, 1994 to 2008. 26 tracks, includes the hits All Right, Richard III, Moving, Grace, Pumping on Your Stereo, St. Petersburg, heavyweight vinyl. So let's get it out, show you. Yeah, this is a brilliant collection, this one. This just takes me back. Look at that, I love that. Takes me back to a very special time in my life, just carefree and at school and getting into music, and yeah, yeah, I love Supergrass. Seen them live many times. Always brilliant live. Never disappoint. One of the best live groups I've watched in in my entire life. Just superb, truly superb musicians. Very tasteful influences throughout the career as well. Put that in later. So the way that they've done this actually is that it starts off with the 2008, and then it works in reverse chronology. So then it actually winds up at 1994. So it starts off really well, but because I love all the earlier stuff of Supergrass more than the later, slightly more, the album gets better for me as it goes along, which is a really clever device. So we'll do it side by side because I have loved all eras of the band. So on side A, I would say Rebel in You, Diamond Who Ha Man, my favourites on that one. Side B, um, Grace is great. I do enjoy Grace a lot. Moving is a superb Supergrass track. Seeing the Light actually is good as well. But then side C and D, we're getting for me into the premier Supergrass stuff, which is what pushes it into the top five. I mean, the Tom Petty one was kind of there or thereabouts, but side C, Pumping on Your Stereo, brilliant. In It for the Money. My all-time favourite Supergrass song, and one of my favourite songs of the 90s, is Richard III. Really dark rocker that. I mean, they'd come out with this really bouncy debut that sort of had people labelling them as the new Monkees, and I think they were trying to be marketed in that way by some people. But Supergrass on the second album, In It for the Money, were having none of that. I remember really distinctly that they reappeared and they'd like shaved all their hair off, and they had like a different image going on. And Richard III is super dark. Great album, In It for the Money. And Late in the Days on here as well. The only thing, unfortunately, that lets this actual pressing down is that the tracks that have been taken from In It for the Money. So we've got In It for the Money, Richard III, Late in the Day, Sun Hits the Sky, all brilliant. The audio quality is distinctly different to the rest of of the album. It sounds a lot more muffled, a lot quieter, and it's such a shame because a track like Richard III just needs to be, really going at it and just being so powerful, and it just sounds a little bit muted compared to the other tracks. It's just such a shame that but the song quality is there undeniably. The songs are brilliant, but just that is a little bit of a shame. And then we get into the I Should Coco tracks there, the debut. So She's So Loose, Man Size Rooster, Strange Ones, Lenny, All Right, and then it finishes with Caught by the Fuzz. Brilliant, brilliant collection. That Supergrass are an excellent singles band. They never, for me, released, I would say, a bad album. They were albums of varying quality, but early Supergrass stuff. I mean, the first three albums, I would recommend them in a heartbeat. Really good stuff. So that's my number five. Okay, number four. We're now getting into some really top-notch soul, and again, I've got Prince to thank for, I think, steering me in the direction of this band. Although I was aware of them for many years, but again, it was Prince that I thought I need to go and investigate and check them out more. So at number four, we've got Sly and the Family Stone, Greatest Hits. It's a really good front cover, that, isn't it? And I absolutely love this photograph on the back of Sly Stone. How cool is that? He just looks so cool and smiling, and that hat, and yeah, just a great photograph. And then here we've got, hope I can get that in there for you to see that. Yeah, what a band these were. Just so good, just progressive and brilliant instrumentation. Loved what they stood for. Based on what I know of them as well and what I've read into them about, just excellent. So yeah, picking favourites off here. These are all so good. This is why it got in at number four. I mean, these are all top notch now. I mean, this is why they're in the top five. So I Want to Take You Higher, Dance to the Music, Everyday People, which I was more familiar with back in the day when I was a lot younger because of Arrested Development. Sampling it, Stand, I love as well. You Can Make It If You Try. This is such a good collection. Everybody Is a Star as well is on here, and then it ends with, yeah, later on, Hot Fun in the Summertime, but then it ends with Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again, which a band that I love called Magazine, Manchester post-punk band, did a great cover of that, really good cover of that on their album The Correct Use of Soap, which is one of my favourite post-punk albums ever. So yeah, they've gone on to influence a lot of bands in a lot of different spheres. But yeah, Prince again to thank for the encouragement, if you will, to really check out Sly and the Family Stone. And I'm delighted to say that this is my number four. So if you're not aware of them and you want to just dip your toe in the water with them, I would try and get your hands on this Greatest Hits. I don't think you'll be disappointed with that at all. Okay, number three, brilliant, another brilliant best of here. We've got The Who with, make sure I say that, Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy. Bit of a tongue twister that, and I just love that front cover. I love the concept of that with The Who, looking on obviously at with the concept being themselves there as kids, and then you've got the kids then looking at The Who, and Keith Moon's expression there. I mean, they're all having a bit of a giggle there at something. They all like they're having a good laugh, but Keith Moon there with sort of the, what have I done? That's what it looks like. John Entwistle looks like he's having a little bit of a giggle. He knows something's happened. Pete Townsend's looking at him, wondering what he's done, and then Roger Daltrey's just sort of grinning and leaning to the side. So I do love that photograph a lot. But yeah, this is an absolutely stunning collection. Let's just show you the inside here of the gatefold. There we go. Hopefully I'm getting all that in shot for you again. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so tracks on here. Might have to read them all out. Can't Explain, The Kids Are Alright, Happy Jack, I Can See for Miles, Pictures of Lily, My Generation and The Seeker. That's side one. Just ridiculously good. I mean, of those, I've had to pick three. Kids Are Alright, My Generation, I Can See for Miles, I think, yeah. And then side two, Anyway, Anyhow, Anywhere, Pinball Wizard, Legal Matter, Boris the Spider, Magic Bus, Substitute, and I'm a Boy. So yeah, love Pinball Wizard, love Substitute, Legal Matter, yeah, and them. So yeah, the Who. Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy. So Meaty was the nickname, was so that they do actually apply to the band. So Meaty is Roger Daltrey, Beaty is Keith Moon, Big is John Entwistle, and Bouncy is Pete Townsend. So that's that one. Okay, number two, another. So this is the band earlier that I mentioned that were in the Britpop era, but roundly condemned the title and the tag ever being attributed to them because they were sort of seen as being, the founder, the founding. I mean, the Britpop thing was all a media manufactured thing anyway, the terminology and everything else. Then it just caught on, but this band were having none of it, and that band is Suede. And this here is an absolutely stunning collection. This is called Sci-Fi Lullabies. I love this album so much, and it's only because of the number one I've got here. This would easily have been number one had the number one that I'm going to show you not be as good as it is, because the number one I've got it's just unquestionably one of my favourites. Suede was unlucky here. I think if this had been in another batch, it would have probably come out number one. So this is a collection. This is purely B-sides. So I think this might be the first time that I've had in a top five ranking within the batches one that is purely a B-sides collection. But the B-sides of Suede are as good, if not better, than a lot of bands' A-sides, and I don't have any shame saying that. I really truly believe that. They are one of the greatest B-sides bands I think I've ever heard. They are incredible. They were just churning out material so good that they could put it on the other side, if you will, if we're talking about singles. So this is not a gatefold. This collects the B-sides of all of the singles which came out on the band's first three albums. So that is the self-titled debut, Dogman Star, and Coming Up. So we've got a lot of songs on here. They did a lot of B-sides, as you can see, and that's just 3 albums worth there. Sci-Fi Lullabies, and Sci-Fi Lullaby is a phrase, a lyric that is used in the song introducing the band, which is the opening song on Dogman Star. Yeah, let's remember that there. So, okay, favourites on here. These are so good. And I mean, given it the B-sides as well, My Insatiable One, brilliant opener, great guitar work on there by Bernard Butler. Bernard Butler was still in the band at this stage, but he had left before coming up. Later to be covered by Morrissey, My Insatiable One. It has got quite a Smithsy feel to it. To the Birds is excellent. Where the Pigs Don't Fly, He's Dead. Yeah, these are all brilliant. These are the earlier Suede B-sides, but my all-time favourite Suede song, and that includes everything that Suede have ever done, A-sides, one-offs, whatever, like Stay Together. All-time favourite Suede song, without question, is The Living Dead. Yeah, just perfection, that song. Beautiful, acoustic driven, Brett Anderson, so heartfelt. The lyrics, as always, wonderful. I had the real pleasure and privilege, because it's not a song I don't really feel, certainly when I've watched Suede live, and I've watched them live a good few times. I'd seen them several times before this particular gig. I went to Manchester and saw them with 2 of my best friends, and they played The Living Dead. It was the first time I'd heard him do it live. It was just Brett playing on an acoustic guitar, accompanied himself, and you could have heard a pin drop in that venue. It was utterly captivating. I love that song so much. It's one that I play on my guitar, or attempt to play on my guitar when I can. I just love it. It really is my favourite ever Suede song, without any question at all. So if you were going to sample a track from this collection, just to get you started in, you wanted to hear one that I would advise or recommend, it would be The Living Dead. Brilliant, truly brilliant. And then we go on with a few more. My Dark Star, I love. I'm mentioning so many because there's so many tracks on it. Killing of a Flash Boy is excellent. Europe is Our Playground. Every Monday Morning Comes. And then, yeah, we get an absolute, yeah, second to the Living Dead on this collection. We've got a song on here called Another No One, which I think was it was a B-side on Trash. Another No One is a Suede classic. It's a real gem, that one. One of their best B-sides. Beautiful melody, great lyrics again. Yeah, Another No One I would recommend highly as well. Then we got The Sound of the Streets, and then towards the end, Jumble Sale Mums, Sadie I Enjoy, Graffiti Women. So that is a really superb collection, that Sci-Fi Lullabies, beautifully packaged. Um, yeah, I thought it was. I think, because I'm conscious that on a couple of these vids I've said there's something, and it hasn't been. Um, I think it's a triple vinyl, that one. Triple. Yeah, I don't want to pull it all out though because it's quite tightly packaged in that, and I'm conscious that it could add more time onto the video. But yeah, brilliant collection. That a very easy number two within this batch. Okay, so with all of that, waxing lyrical there of Suede and how brilliant that album is, which it is, what could the number one possibly be? Which is going to conclude my series here on the channel. Well, this for me is one of the true great compilations of a band ever. Um, it really is up there with best that I've heard. I'd put it up there with the Cramps and with Off the Bone and other ones I've heard. Some of you might prefer it to the Cramps one, but yeah. Without any further ado, let's reveal the number one. So my number one from this batch is Hatful of Hollow by the Smiths. This is a truly brilliant collection, compilation of a band. For a lot of people, this sort of plays for like an album. I mean, it wasn't a studio album, but it sort of plays, in that area between, the self-titled debut and then Meet His Murder follows on, and The Queen is Dead, and you had Hatful of Hollow in there. Now I would have shown as well, but I don't own it on vinyl. I don't think it's quite as good as this one as a listening experience. I don't have Louder Than Bombs on vinyl, which is another excellent Smiths collection. There's a lot of brilliant songs on there that I truly enjoy, but I don't have it, so I can't show it. But I am delighted to have Hatful of Hollow. I do think this is the better collection, just because of the consistency of it throughout. I think the fact as well, although I'm not averse to listening to, double albums or whatever, I mean, Louder Than Bombs is a big listen, but I just think as a listening experience and the length of this, etc., it just edges it for me over Louder Than Bombs, but both are brilliant to have. I mean, there's loads of other Smiths compilations as well, The World Won't Listen, etc., but I put a lot of stock in this one, particularly Louder Than Bombs. So we'll get into Hatful of Hollow anyway. It is a gatefold, so I'll open it up. So there's the front again, just taking it out of its sleeve, and then we've got a brilliant photograph there. I love that Andy Rourke's at the front of that picture there on the bass as well. Such a great band, aren't they? Mike Joyce on drums, Andy Rourke there on the bass, got Morrissey there in the back, just in the background, and then Johnny Marr right at the back, looking on. Great black and white photograph there of the Smiths. Yeah, so favourites on here. Right, I'll try and name, so many tracks we got on it. 1, 2, 3. Got 8 on side A. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 8 on side, yeah, 8 on side B is right. So we'll try and do 4 off each. Right, side 1. What difference does it make? These are just my picks, my favourites. It's hard to do only 4. This Charming Man. I do like that version of This Charming Man. It's not the studio version. How Soon Is Now is, yeah, it's a classic for a reason. Brilliant Smith song. I do love Still Ill as well. Still Ill's excellent. But yeah, these things take time. I'm going to break my own rule now. I've said a few more than 4 there, but they're all excellent. And you've got, yeah, but How Soon Is Now is my favourite track on that side. And then side two, Girl Afraid, I've always adored that. Some of my favourite ever guitar playing on there by Johnny Marr. That is some twisty turny intro that on that guitar that he plays at the beginning. It's just utterly superb. I mean, I love Johnny Marr's guitar playing, but Girl Afraid, love the lyrics of it as well. Back to the Old House is Beautiful. That's a really sort of yearning, mournful track. This Night Has Opened My Eyes is excellent as well. And then to finish, we get the stunning, stops you in your tracks. We've got the sheer beauty, splendour of Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want, which is one of my, probably in my top, definitely in my top 10 favourite ever Smith songs. I mean, I'd have to sit and do it properly. I mean, my number one is Jean, is my favourite ever Smith song. That's without any doubt at all. I adore Jean. That was a B-side. But Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want closes this collection off. This is a superb collection, essential for any music fan well, I can't really say that, can I, in case people don't actually like the Smiths or are into them, but for me, I would say it's essential just because of the sheer quality of the music. And I think of any, if you want to try and get started with them, I do think it's a good place to start. It just gives a good overview of the band. There's different sounds on there. It doesn't sound overly, just in one lane. A song like How Soon Is Now really mixes it up. There's a couple of, rocky ones on there. There's some gentle ones as well. Good variation on the guitar, instrumentation. Morris's voice sounds great throughout. Rourke and Joyce, rhythm section, doing what they do brilliantly. So yeah, that's my number one, Hatful of Hollow by the Smiths. Okay, so the only thing left to say is thank you very, very much indeed for being a part of my audience for this series, for part 4. And hopefully, if you have had a chance already to watch parts 1, 2 and 3, thank you. As I mentioned at the top of the video, if you like what you saw today and you would be interested in going back to look at my other parts, I will pop links in the description for you. So yeah, I feel great that I've done that. I've shown you all of my best ofs, greatest hits, B-sides and rarities and singles collections, every one that I own over the course of the series. Thoroughly enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of fun, and it was nice to do some album rankings in there as well within each batch. So all there is to say, because it's been another long video, is thank you again for all your time and attention. Take care, everyone. And if you have not already subscribed to the channel and you've enjoyed what I've done today on the Vinyl Sanctuary, please consider subscribing. If you like the video and you wish to give it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. And if you do choose to subscribe, then you can click that notification bell and it will keep you up to date with any other projects I've got landing. So as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm going to go back to doing a couple of album review requests that I've had through on the channel now that this series is complete. And then I will just continue to put some other ideas out there and continue to grow this channel, which is only a few weeks old at the moment. So thank you everyone for being there, and until next time, goodbye.